And it's just a brief interaction, but I still welcome the opportunity to see, let's call her Mrs. Thomas, right? The Thomas kid's mom, Kanan and Jukebox's grandmother, because from the little bit that we saw of her at the end of the first season, she seemed like a problem, and we pretty much get that confirmed here, where, if you think about it, all of this stuff has happened to her kids, right? Lou was in a fire in the first season. Both RAQ and Marvin was shot at the end of the second season. Now, granted, it could be that, Marvin was never in the hospital, so she didn't know anything about that. And it could just be the way that the show's written that she didn't show up at the hospital. But here it is that Lou shows up and her primary concern is money. And from what we've heard about her over the last few seasons, is that seems to be her primary concern. Right? With their dad that, he was constantly doing different things, trying to make money and whatnot, hustling different, hustles and whatnot. And it was never enough for their mom. And here we have it where she seems to be living in a pretty decent house in what looks like an okay neighborhood, and she's complaining about money. She's complaining that, Marvin seemingly doesn't have any time for her. RAQ used to take care of her, used to provide for her, but hasn't been sending her any money for a while now. But yet still here it is. She's living in a house. She doesn't make any mention of being on the verge of being kicked out or anything like that. But she's then complaining to Lou about him getting into music and throwing away his money and whatnot when he needs to be taking care of her. And, it's... The street stuff is interesting, but this season you've seen a lot more focus on family, the dysfunction between Ronnie and Unique, but then also the dysfunction with the Thomas kids, right? And if you think back to the first season when RAQ was at church with her mom to provide herself with an alibi, and, had that conversation with her mom where it's really, that was the first time that we saw anybody, really, handle RAQ. And, her mom, she shrank in the presence of her mom to some degree. And we saw the mom just seemed like a problem then. And in this brief little exchange, she seems like a problem now. And during their conversation in the first season, where RAQ asked her mom about, have you ever thought that, and I'm paraphrasing here, that maybe the way that she was raised or having Miss Thomas and possibly Mr. Thomas as her parents, that's played a role in her becoming this monster at times, or at least having that in her, and her mom just brushed it off and put the blame back on RAQ. And so it's going to be, we've seen some little tidbits dropped along the way about their parents, and about their dad. We've seen the mom. This is now the second time that we've seen the mom, but it's going to be interesting to see, or I'm hoping that as the season progresses, as the show progresses, that we get more of their backstory as far as how it was that they ended up being the people that they are, RAQ in particular, right? Given what's been hinted at between her and the mom. And as we now find out that the dad isn't just off somewhere, but that he's actually died. And it's something that I think has been suggested but not stated outright, but is finally confirmed by Lou that, the father died. The question would now be, what exactly were the circumstances? Because it sounds a little bit shady. And with that, it might be kind of going out on a limb there, but it sounds like the mom might have had something to do with it. Or that's the way that I feel. Not to say that she killed him, but there was something going on there that led to him dying. I doubt, he doesn't seem like he died from old age or illness or anything like that. It seems like something happened to him. And I think it's going to be interesting to get the full story of what exactly happened to their dad, I'm hoping that the mom comes more into play, because number one, I think it would be interesting to see her interaction. At this point, we've seen her interact with RAQ, we've seen her interact with Lou, we haven't seen her with Marvin, but it would be interesting to see her interactions with them, as well as to get more backstory on the Thomas siblings and how it is that they came to be, like their origin story. We're getting Jukebox and Kanan's origin story. It would be interesting to get theirs. So I'm hoping that the mom seems problematic, not in the same way, but a bit of a problem within the family, much as Ronnie is for Unique. And so it'll be interesting if she makes more appearances in the show. So we can see her interact with the kids, because that sounds like that's just going to be drama, as well as to get more of their backstory as far as like who she used to be, because even now as an older woman, she seems incredibly problematic.
Thanks for tuning in. To ensure you don't miss any episodes, subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell, go ahead and click the thumbs up button if you like what you saw, and go ahead and share it on social media.